Hello everyone, and welcome back to English Stories 101. I'm Sid, your host. Today we have a deeply emotional story about a father's love and the sacrifices parents make that their children never see. Our guest is James Cooper. James has a story that will make you look at your own father in a completely different way. It's about discovering the truth too late and learning to appreciate what we have while we still can. James, thank you for joining us. Please share your story.
Thank you, Sid. My name is James Cooper, and I am 42 years old. This is the hardest story I've ever had to tell. It's about my father, William Cooper, and the sacrifices he made that I never knew about until it was too late. I grew up in a small town called Oakwood. My father worked at a furniture factory. My mother stayed home to take care of me and my younger sister, Emily. We weren't rich, but we had enough. Or so I thought. As a child, I never questioned where things came from. There was always food on the table. I always had clothes to wear. I had books for school. When I needed something, it appeared. I thought that's just how life worked. My father was a quiet man. He didn't talk much. He would come home from work tired, eat dinner quietly, and then sit in his chair reading the newspaper or watching television. He never complained. He never talked about his job or his day. He was just there. I remember thinking my father was boring. My friends had fathers who played sports with them, took them on trips, and told funny stories. My father didn't do any of those things. He was always tired, always quiet, always distant. When I was 10 years old, I wanted a bicycle. All my friends had bicycles, and I felt left out. I asked my mother if I could have one. She said, "We'll see, James. Maybe for your birthday." My birthday was 3 months away. I couldn't wait that long. So I asked my father directly. He was sitting in his chair after dinner. I said, "Dad, can I have a bicycle? All my friends have one." He looked at me for a moment and said, "We'll see, son." I felt disappointed. "We'll see" usually meant no. I went to my room feeling angry. I thought my father didn't care about what I wanted. But on my birthday, there was a bicycle waiting for me in the living room. It was beautiful. Shiny red paint. New tires. A bell on the handlebar. I was so excited. I hugged my mother and thanked her. I barely said thank you to my father. I just took the bicycle and went outside to show my friends. What I didn't know was that my father had worked double shifts at the factory for 2 months to buy that bicycle. He had worked 16-hour days, coming home exhausted, just so I could have what my friends had. But he never told me. He never said, "I worked extra hard to buy this for you." He just gave it to me and went back to his chair. When I was 15, I wanted to join the school basketball team. But there were fees for the uniform, shoes, and equipment. I was afraid to ask my parents because I knew money was tight. But my mother said, "Don't worry, James. Your father will take care of it." A week later, my father gave me money for everything I needed. I was happy, but I didn't think much about where the money came from. I just assumed my parents had saved it or something. Years later, I found out the truth. My father had sold his only valuable possession, a watch that his own father had given him. It was the only thing he had to remember his father by. But he sold it without hesitation so I could play basketball. He never mentioned it. He never made me feel guilty. He just did it silently. As I grew older, I became more distant from my father. He still didn't talk much. He still seemed tired and boring. I focused on my studies and my friends. I spent less and less time at home. When I was there, I barely spoke to him. My mother would say, "James, spend some time with your father. Talk to him." But I would make excuses. I have homework, Mom. Or, I'm going out with friends. I thought I had plenty of time. I thought my father would always be there. When I turned 18, I got accepted to a university in another city. It was a good school, but it was expensive. I was worried about how we would pay for it. My parents sat me down and my mother said, "James, you've been accepted to a wonderful university. We're so proud of you. Don't worry about the money. We'll handle it." I felt relieved. I asked, "Are you sure? It's really expensive." My father spoke for the first time. He said, "You're going to that university, son. You've worked hard. You deserve it." I was so excited that I didn't question how they would afford it. I just packed my bags and left for university. I called home once a week, but I was too busy with classes and making new friends to visit often. I came home maybe twice a year, during holidays. During my university years, I never lacked anything. I had money for books, food, and rent. My parents always sent money when I needed it. I assumed they were doing fine financially. I never asked. I never wondered. I graduated with honors and got a good job in the city. I rented a nice apartment. I was building my career and my life. I visited home even less. Maybe once a year. Christmas or Thanksgiving. And each visit was short. 2 or 3 days maximum. My father looked older each time I saw him. More tired. Thinner. But he never complained. He would smile and say, "I'm proud of you, son. You've done well." I would nod and then spend most of my visit catching up with old friends or helping my mother around the house. I barely spent time with my father. He would sit in his chair, watching television, and I would be somewhere else in the house or out with friends. When I was 32, I met a woman named Sarah. We fell in love and got engaged. I called my parents to tell them the good news. My mother was thrilled. My father said, "That's wonderful, son. I'm happy for you." Sarah and I planned a wedding. It wasn't huge, but it wasn't small either. About 80 guests. A nice venue. Good food. It was going to cost money. My father said, "Don't worry about the cost, James. We'll help you." I said, "Dad, you don't have to. Sarah and I can pay for most of it." He insisted, "You're our only son. Let us do this for you." My parents contributed a significant amount of money to our wedding. At the time, I thought it was generous, but I didn't think too deeply about it. I was too caught up in wedding planning and excitement. The wedding was beautiful. My father walked me down the aisle with my mother. He looked proud but also tired. I noticed he had lost more weight. His suit looked too big on him. But I was too busy with the wedding activities to really pay attention. After the wedding, Sarah and I moved to another city for her job. We were 300 kilometers away from my parents. We visited them rarely, maybe once or twice a year. We were building our own life, our own family. 2 years after our wedding, Sarah and I had a daughter. We named her Emma. When we told my parents, my mother cried tears of joy. My father said quietly, "I can't wait to meet her." But we didn't bring Emma to visit them for several months. We were too busy with the new baby, too tired, too overwhelmed. We kept saying, "We'll visit next month." But next month would come and we'd make another excuse. When Emma was 6 months old, we finally visited my parents. My father held Emma in his arms with such gentleness. He looked at her with so much love. He said, "She's beautiful, James. You're a father now. You understand what it means to love someone more than yourself." I nodded, but I didn't fully understand what he meant. Not yet. That visit was short. Just one day. We had to get back because Sarah had work. I promised my parents we'd visit more often, but we didn't. Life got busy. Emma grew. Sarah's career demanded more time. My own work became more demanding. Months would pass between visits. Then, 3 months ago, I got a phone call in the middle of the night. It was my sister Emily. She was crying. She said, "James, you need to come home right now. Dad collapsed. He's in the hospital." My heart stopped. I said, "What happened? Is he okay?" Emily said, "Just come. Please come now." Sarah and I packed quickly and drove through the night. When we arrived at the hospital, my mother and sister were in the waiting room. My mother's eyes were red from crying. She hugged me and said, "The doctors are with him now." A doctor came out and asked to speak with me. He took me to a private room. He said, "Mr. Cooper, I need to be honest with you. Your father's condition is very serious. He has advanced heart disease and his kidneys are failing. We're doing everything we can, but you should prepare yourself." I felt like I couldn't breathe. I said, "What do you mean? He's never been sick." He never said anything. The doctor looked at me with sympathy. "Your father has been sick for years, Mr. Cooper. He's been coming to this hospital for treatment for over 8 years. Did he not tell you?" I was shocked. 8 years. No, he never said anything. Why didn't he tell us? The doctor said gently, "You'll have to ask him that yourself. You can see him now, but please keep your visit brief. He's very weak." I walked into my father's room. He was lying in bed connected to many machines. He looked so small, so fragile. This strong man who I had known all my life now looked like he could break. His eyes opened when he heard me enter. He smiled weakly. "James, you came." I sat beside his bed and held his hand. It felt cold. I said, "Dad, why didn't you tell me you were sick? 8 years you've been sick and you never said anything." He closed his eyes for a moment. "I didn't want to worry you. You had your own life, your career, your family. I didn't want to be a burden." I felt tears forming in my eyes. "You're not a burden, Dad. You're my father. I should have been here. I should have known." He squeezed my hand weakly. "You were living your life, son. That's what I wanted. That's what every parent wants. For their children to be happy and successful." I stayed with him for hours. My mother, sister, Sarah, and little Emma came in to see him. He smiled at all of us. He held Emma again and said, "Take care of your father, little one. He's a good man." Over the next few days, I stayed at the hospital constantly. My father would drift in and out of sleep. Sometimes he would be awake and we would talk. Really talk. For the first time in my life, I had real conversations with my father. He told me things I never knew. He told me about his life, his dreams, his regrets. And he told me about all the sacrifices he had made. He told me about the bicycle. How he worked double shifts for months, barely sleeping, to save enough money to buy it. He said, "I remember how happy you were when you saw it. That made every tired day worth it." He told me about selling his father's watch so I could play basketball. He said, "That watch was precious to me. But you were more precious. I would have sold anything to see you happy." He told me about my university education. How he took a second job working nights as a security guard to pay for my tuition. He worked his regular job at the factory during the day, and then worked as a security guard from midnight to 6 in the morning. For 4 years. He barely slept. His health began to deteriorate, but he kept working because he wanted me to finish my education without debt. I started crying. I said, "Dad, why? Why did you do all that? Why didn't you tell me? I would have gotten student loans. I would have worked part-time." He shook his head. "I wanted you to focus on your studies. I wanted you to have opportunities one never had. That was my job as your father, to give you a better life than I had." He told me about the wedding money, how he and my mother had been saving for their retirement. They had a small amount saved after years of hard work. They gave it all to help pay for my wedding. They gave up their retirement dreams so I could have a beautiful wedding day. And then he told me the hardest part. 8 years ago, he started feeling sick. He went to the doctor and discovered he had heart disease. The doctor told him he needed surgery and ongoing treatment. It was expensive. But my father didn't have health insurance. He couldn't afford the full treatment. He had a choice. He could use the money they had saved for my university tuition to pay for his treatment, or he could let me go to university and delay his treatment. He chose me. He chose to send me to university and ignore his own health. By the time he finally started getting treatment 2 years later, the disease had progressed. It was too late for surgery. All they could do was manage his symptoms and slow down the progression. For 8 years, he lived with a failing heart and deteriorating health. But he never told me. He never asked for help. He kept working to support himself and my mother. He kept sending money when I needed it. He kept sacrificing in silence. I was devastated. I said, "Dad, you should have told me. I could have helped. I could have been there." He said, "James, a father's job is not to burden his children. A father's job is to give his children wings to fly. You flew, son. You became everything I dreamed you would become. That's all I ever wanted." I cried like I had never cried before. I said, "I'm so sorry, Dad. I'm sorry I wasn't a better son. I'm sorry I didn't spend more time with you. I'm sorry I took you for granted." He touched my face gently. "Don't be sorry. You have nothing to apologize for. You lived your life. You were happy. That's what made me happy. That's what gave my sacrifices meaning." He continued, "James, now you're a father. One day, Emma will grow up. She'll build her own life. She'll be busy with her own dreams. And you'll do things for her that she'll never know about. You'll make sacrifices she'll never see. And that's okay. That's what parents do. We love silently. We sacrifice quietly. We don't do it for recognition. We do it because our children's happiness is our happiness." Those were some of the last words my father said to me. 2 days later, his condition worsened. The doctors did everything they could, but his body was too weak, too damaged by years of untreated disease and overwork. My father passed away surrounded by his family. My mother held one hand. I held the other. Emily was there. Sarah was there with Emma. In his final moments, he opened his eyes one last time and looked at all of us. He smiled. And then he was gone. After the funeral, my mother gave me a letter. She said, "Your father wrote this for you. He wanted you to have it." I opened the letter with shaking hands. It said, "My dear James, if you're reading this, it means I'm no longer with you. Please don't be sad for too long. I lived a good life. I had a wonderful wife, 2 beautiful children, and a granddaughter who brought me joy. I want you to know something important. Every sacrifice I made willingly. The double shifts. The second job. the sold watch, the delayed medical treatment. I made these choices because being your father was the greatest privilege of my life. I know you might feel guilty now. You might think you should have known, should have helped, should have been there more. But I want you to let go of that guilt. You did nothing wrong. You lived your life exactly as I hoped you would. You studied hard. You built a career. You found love. You became a father. You made me proud every single day. This is what I want you to understand. Love is not always loud. Love is not always visible. Sometimes the deepest love is silent. It's in the extra hours worked. It's in the meals cooked after a long day. It's in the sleep sacrificed so you can have what you need. It's in all the things parents do that children never see. I never told you about my sacrifices because I didn't want recognition. I wanted you to be free. Free to chase your dreams without guilt. Free to build your life without feeling like you owed me something. My sacrifices were my gift to you, freely given with no strings attached. Now you're a father. Love Emma the way I loved you. Make sacrifices for her. Give her wings to fly. And one day, when she's grown and building her own life, let her go with your blessing. Don't hold her back with guilt or obligation. Love her silently, just as I loved you. Tell your mother I'm sorry I couldn't give her the retirement we dreamed of. But tell her I would make the same choices again because our children were worth everything. Live well, James. Be happy. Hug Emma every day. Tell Sarah you love her. Visit your mother often. And when you think of me, don't think of the sacrifices. Think of the pride I felt being your father. Think of the joy you gave me. Think of the love that will never die. Always your proud father, William Cooper. I read that letter 100 times. Each time I cried. Each time, I felt the weight of my father's love. The love I had taken for granted for so many years. Since my father's death, I've changed my life. I visit my mother every week. I've helped her financially so she can be comfortable. I spend more time with Emma. I work less and focus more on being present with my family. I also started a foundation in my father's name. It helps pay for medical treatment for working-class people who can't afford health care. I don't want any other father to have to choose between his health and his children's future. Every day, I look at Emma and I think about my father. I understand now what he meant. The love of a parent is the most selfless love that exists. We would give everything, sacrifice everything, for our children's happiness. I wish I could tell my father thank you one more time. I wish I could hug him and tell him that I finally understand. I understand the depth of his love. I understand the weight of his sacrifices. I understand that he was never boring or distant. He was tired from working multiple jobs. He was quiet because he was exhausted from giving everything he had to our family. My father was a hero. Not the kind of hero who gets recognition or awards, but the kind of hero who shows up every day, who works hard without complaint, who sacrifices without asking for anything in return. A silent hero. The best kind of hero. If your father is still alive, please, don't wait like I did. Don't take him for granted. Spend time with him. Ask him about his life. Thank him for the things he's done. Tell him you love him. Because one day he'll be gone, and you'll wish you had said these things when you still could. My father taught me the greatest lesson of my life. Love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's silent. But it's always there, in every sacrifice made, in every dream given up, in every moment of exhaustion pushed through for the sake of someone else's happiness. That's a father's silent sacrifice. and it's the greatest gift any child could receive.
Thank you, James, for sharing such a powerful and emotional story with us. I think everyone watching needs a moment to process what we just heard. Dear viewers, James's story teaches us some profound lessons about parental love and appreciation. First, parents often sacrifice in ways their children never see. Your father might be working extra hours, giving up his own dreams, or ignoring his own needs to provide for you. These sacrifices are often silent, made without expectation of recognition. But they deserve our acknowledgement and gratitude. Second, don't wait until it's too late to show appreciation. James waited until his father was on his deathbed to truly understand and appreciate what his father had done. Don't make that mistake. If your father is alive, tell him thank you today. Tell him you love him. Spend time with him. Ask about his life. Show him that his sacrifices were not invisible. And third, being present matters more than being successful. James's father didn't care about James's career achievements or financial success. What mattered was that James was happy and living his life. But what James's father really needed was more time with his son. More conversations. More presence. Success means nothing if you lose connection with the people who sacrificed everything for you. So here's my question for you. When was the last time you thanked your father? When was the last time you spent quality time with him? When was the last time you told him you appreciate everything he's done? If you can't remember, today is the day to change that. If James's story moved you, please like this video, share it with everyone you know, and subscribe to English Stories _101 for more meaningful stories. Remember, don't wait until it's too late. Show your appreciation to your parents while they're still here to receive it. Thank you for watching. I'm Sid, and I'll see you in the next story. Call your father today. Goodbye.